Thank you to the planning team for inviting me to give this reflection at today's Mass. I said yes before I knew the feast or the readings. After reading the selection from Acts and then the Gospel, I could feel the Holy Spirit moving through these texts and touching the core of the Sisters for Christian Community. Like many of you, my life story took me into other religious orders before coming to the Sisters for Christian Community. Right after high school, I entered the Sisters of Providence for 18 months, realizing I was not ready to commit to that lifestyle. I returned home and worked as a bank teller and then an elementary school teacher, where I met the Sisters of Notre Dame de Namur. Although I was dating and enjoying the single life, the call to religious life kept nagging me. I joined the Sisters of Notre Dame in 1966, the year I count as my permanent commitment to following God's call by living a vowed life. During 1977, Bishop Sullivan, Bishop of Richmond, Virginia, introduced me to several SFCCs. He encouraged me to explore that community because he believed my spirit was closer to their charism of building Christian community wherever I found myself. And he was so right. I made the transition in 1979 and have never looked back. Unlike St. Paul, I did not see a bright light or have the conversion he experienced. However, like most of us, I suspect, God used someone to set me on the right path. Bishop Sullivan and the women who had already moved from the security and structure of traditional religious community into this new non-canonical community were the Ananiases in my journey. Lalana Kopp, in her book Sudden Spring, writes about the courage needed to live this new lifestyle. Many, if not most, of us experienced isolation and solitude of living celibate without a close-by celibate community. And it's precisely here that I see a connection to today's feast. We aren't the first people who found following the call of Jesus to be difficult and isolating. Personally, those difficult early days brought me closer to God than all the grand silences and blind obedience of other religious communities. Paul experienced a conversion, and so have each one of us. For most of us, the conversion, the turnabout, is more gradual and much less dramatic. Conversion is a process, and a process takes time and effort to be properly effected. It certainly is not a once-and-for-all situation. Our gathering here in Manila is part of the conversion process of SFCC. In 2001, we gathered in Europe, in the Netherlands, for the first assembly outside North America. Many sisters had to get a passport for the first time in their life. It took courage to go to a strange land. Several of you, our sisters in the Philippines, have attended assembly meetings in the United States at great cost. Your prophetic voice in our gatherings has been very important to the growth of SFCC. You have stretched our thinking and our focus. It has taken 18 years for us to take the second step outside North America, to accept your invitation to come to the Philippines. I can't begin to tell you how happy we are to be here. In today's Gospel, Jesus appears to the 11 apostles and us and says, "Go into the whole world and proclaim the gospel to every creature." I suspect those early followers of Jesus had no idea what this would mean, just as we have no idea what the call to live as Sisters for Christian Community will mean for tomorrow. However, we do know that Jesus has promised to be with us. We do know that by joining the SFCCs, we are supported by sisters and brothers around the world. We do know that, like St. Paul and the early followers of Jesus, our strength is renewed each time we gather together at the Eucharistic feast, no matter where in the world we are. And so I pray that as we begin this new year, we ask for God's blessing to help us to realize the significance and the importance of our ongoing conversion, and to help us respond like St. Paul with great alacrity and generosity.